Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Happier Life podcast. I'm your host, Clare Deacon. After deciding survival wasn't enough, I set out on a path to live my best life. I wanted to thrive. Now I'm on a mission to support others. Think you're not good enough, confident enough, brave enough? I'm here to tell you you are, and you can achieve anything. This is your time, so let's do this. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Happier Life podcast, where we talk about life beyond survival. Because let's be honest, you weren't just put on this earth to fit in, keep the peace, and perform a version of yourself that keeps everyone else feeling comfortable. I'm Clare Deacon, your host, positive psychology coach and therapist. Today, we are talking about something that so many of us do without even realizing it: masking. Others might relate this as playing small. So, have you ever felt like you're constantly editing yourself, like you're performing a role that isn't really you? Maybe it's in social situations where you dial yourself down. Maybe it's at work where you become the professional version of yourself. Maybe it's even in relationships where you shapeshift to meet other people's expectations, afraid that if they saw the real you, they might not like what they find. This is masking, and it's exhausting. Masking is the emotional labor of constantly filtering, forming, and adapting to be what we think others want us to be. And while it can make us feel safe in the short term, long term, it's one of the biggest barriers to true connection, self worth, and fulfillment. So today, we're talking about why we mask and how it starts, the hidden costs of masking, how it affects our mental and our emotional health, how to start unmasking and show up more authentically without that fear. And if at any point you think need some more support with this, then you know how to get in touch. So let's get into it. So why do we mask? Masking doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's something we learn. Survival strategy that our brains and our bodies pick up along the way. For many of us, masking starts in childhood. Maybe you were the kid who was too loud, too sensitive, too much, or maybe you were one of who learned to shrink yourself to avoid conflict. Maybe you were praised for being easy or low maintenance, so you kept your feelings to yourself. Maybe you learned that certain emotions, anger, sadness, frustration, were unacceptable, so you buried them. And the more we learn that our real selves aren't acceptable, the more we build the mask. For neurodivergent individuals, masking can be an unconscious way of fitting into a world that wasn't built with them in mind, suppressing natural behaviours to avoid judgment. For trauma survivors, masking can be a way of staying safe, learning to be hyper aware of other people's moods, adapting to avoid rejection, harm, or criticism. For those raised in rigid environments, masking can be a form of approval seeking, adapting to be the good girl, the strong one, the perfect one. And after years of playing these roles, we start to lose sight of where the mask ends and where we begin. This is why my book is called Blooming Happya, because it is a program that focuses on removing those layers that have been masking the real you by regulating your nervous system, making you feel safe to uncover who you really are so that you can open up to the world and bloom into the authentic version of yourself. So, the cost of masking. Here's the thing about wearing a mask for too long. At some point, you forget you're wearing it. It becomes automatic, so much so that you might not even realize how exhausting it is until you start letting go of it. And when we spend years, even decades, hiding parts of ourselves, the impact is huge. You might experience exhaustion and burnout, constantly filtering yourself is emotionally draining. When you're always performing, there is no real rest. It's like being on all the time, even in your own home. Ever come back from a social event and feel completely wiped out, even though all you did was smile, nod, and say the right things? That's because masking isn't just about what you say, it's about suppressing your real thought, your reactions, and even your body language. Over time, it's exhausting. So, next, disconnection from yourself. When you are always adapting to what others need, you stop knowing what you want, feel, or need. I've had numerous clients who, when asked what they enjoyed doing, drew a blank. Quite often, they could tell me what their partner enjoys, what their kids enjoy, what their friends enjoy doing, but they've spent so long mirroring everyone else, liking what their friends like, choosing what makes their partner happy, being easygoing, so that they don't rock the boat, but they've lost touch with what actually makes them happy. If you've ever stood in front of a menu waiting for someone else to order first because you genuinely don't know what you feel like eating, that's just a glimpse of that in action. Perhaps for you, it's low self-worth. If people only love the version of you that you allow them to see, it reinforces the belief that the real you isn't good enough. It's that sneaky feeling of if they really knew who I was, they wouldn't like me. Maybe you've been praised for being so easygoing when deep down you actually have strong opinions, but you don't voice them. Or maybe people always describe you as the responsible one, when in reality you feel like a chaotic mess, just trying to keep it together. The more you perform, the more it reinforces the belief the real you isn't enough. Or anxiety and shame can be another reason for this. The fear of being found out or rejected can make social situations feel stressful and overwhelming. It's like you're constantly running some kind of PR campaign for yourself, carefully curating what you say, second guessing your responses, replaying conversations in your head later to analyze whether you got it right. If you've ever left a social situation feeling like you need to recover, it might not be because you're introverted. It might be because masking takes an enormous amount of energy. Another cause, shallow relationships. If you're not showing up as yourself, you'll never know who truly loves you. Only the character you're playing. Maybe you're the friend who always listens but never shares. Maybe you play the fun one who keeps things light even when you're struggling. Maybe you've built a whole personality around being helpful or agreeable. And deep down, you wonder if anyone would still want you around if you stopped meeting their needs. When you spend years adapting to fit in, it's hard to shake the feeling that people only love you for what you do for them, not for who you actually are. And let's be real, masking often works. It can help us avoid conflict, it keeps the peace, and can enable us to fit in. Cost? Cost is you. Because here's the truth. Hiding who you are is the loneliest place in the planet. So, how do you begin to take off the mask? Because let's be honest, if masking has been a lifelong habit, unmasking isn't something you do overnight. It is a process of slowly, gently, and intentionally reclaiming yourself. So, step one, notice when you're masking. Before you can start showing up more authentically, you need to recognize when you're putting the mask on. So, start by asking yourself, when do you feel like you have to perform? Who are you most likely to mask around? What parts of yourself do you hide? It isn't about judging yourself, it's about awareness. Because once you start recognizing the moments where you shift into performance mode, you can begin to challenge it. So, step two, identify where you learned to hide the way you show up. So, the way you show up in the world is learned, which means you can unlearn it. So, ask yourself, where did you learn that being yourself wasn't safe? When did you start believing that you had to be compliant, strong, perfect in order to be loved, whatever it is for you? What part of you have you been suppressing the longest? Often we're still carrying beliefs that were handed to us rather than ones we chose. And when you start challenging these beliefs, they lose their power. So, step three is about taking a small step towards authenticity and unmasking. So, it doesn't mean ripping off the mask in one dramatic moment. We want to be cautious here and manage and be kind to yourself so that we don't trigger your central nervous system. It means slowly, intentionally letting yourself be seen. Try showing up 1% more authentically in small ways. Maybe it's sharing an opinion you'd normally keep to yourself. Maybe it's not forcing yourself to smile when you don't feel like it. Maybe it's setting a boundary instead of people pleasing. Every time you show up just a little more as yourself, for yourself, you build the muscle of self trust. So, step four, this is about surrounding yourself with people who make you feel safe. So, here's the truth, not everyone will deserve to see the real you, and that's okay. You don't have to be unmasked everywhere all at once. But start noticing who makes you feel safe enough to let the mask slip. Who are the people where you don't have to pretend? Spend more time with them. Because the more you surround yourself with people who love you as you are, easier it becomes to believe that you are enough exactly as you are. So taking the mask off isn't about being reckless with your vulnerability. It's about finding the spaces where you can finally exhale and just be. And let's be clear, unmasking doesn't mean everyone will approve. But here's the thing, people who are meant to, who are meant to see you, people who are right for you will get it. They don't need the performance. So, my challenge for you this week, let yourself be seen in one small way. Maybe that's being honest about what you actually want. Maybe it's not laughing at a joke that isn't funny. Maybe it's saying no when you'd normally say yes. Because who are you underneath that mask? the person who deserves to be loved. If you need more support in showing up more fully as yourself, let's talk. Book a chat, email me. I hope that resonates with you. So until next time, be kind to yourself. You don't have to perform for love. You just have to be you. If you've enjoyed this episode, ensure you hit subscribe, head on over to my website, happyacoach.com, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and let me support you in living a happier life. I'm your host, Clare Deacon. Thank you for listening. Have a fabulous day.